Hello guys, welcome to this Wood Elf Eternal Guard painting tutorial. As you can see, this is the miniature that you're going to get if you follow this tutorial. This is my first fantasy tutorial, and immediately you can see that they use a lot more colors than usually than 40k, and it was a really fun miniature to paint. And if you like it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel to see more videos. As usual, I am going to start by using Rust-Oleum Automotive Primer. This is a cheap primer. You can use any primer that you would like, but if you do go for a cheap primer, try to use it lightly so that you don't cover that much detail. I'm going to start by using Bugman's Glow to paint the face and all of the skin area of the model. Every base coat that I'm using here is watered down 1:1 as usual. Next, I'm going to use Rhinox hide. With this, I'm going to color the breastplate, the boots and the gloves, and also some ropes and details here and there that you would like to paint this color. Also the belt, as you can see. Here I'm using an Army Painter Monster brush. It's a very good brush for base coating, but not very good at precise work. Next, I'm going to use Straken green. With this color, I'm going to paint the inner part of the robe or the cape and the pants below the rest of the armor. Next, with Loren Forest, I'm going to paint the second tone of green. Actually, they look kind of similar. Just try to make a good base coat to really make them look different, because if you're using very thin paint like I do, the color won't show immediately. So give it a second coat, or if you want to use thicker paint, just make sure it's not just straight from the pot, because that will be very bad for the detail. Next, I'm using Ironbreaker to base coat all of the metallic parts, the metallic silver parts. I'm using these particular steps because I want to paint from the inside out. I want to paint the places that are most obscured by other stuff, so that I can paint over them and there's no problem with the cleaning up afterwards. Here I'm using Ushabti Bone to base coat the kind of bone part of the shield. Also, I'm going to use Caliban green, and with this color I'm going to paint the third green tone of the model, which is the shield and the back part of the cape. You may experience a little bit of trouble with the shield because it is a little bit hard to reach the inner parts of the shield, but if you do have trouble, just paint the best that you can. Obviously, people are not going to see really below the shield, and with the wash you will shade the area and it will look fine. Next, I'm using Balthasar's gold, and with this color I'm going to paint all of the gold areas. It's the same as the other steps, it's just base coating, trying to stay away from the parts that I already painted. And for thinning metallics, it's better to use mediums such as glaze medium or a thinning medium, because water kind of separates the metallic flakes a little bit. So if you have some sort of medium, I would recommend using that instead of water. Next, Mournfang brown to paint the hair. Because I've painted a couple of blonde-haired miniatures recently, I just tried to make it a little bit different and make a brown hair miniature instead. Next, with black, I'm going to base coat all of the gemstones of the model. And with this, we finish the base coats of the model. Next comes the washes. And if you're going for lower quality, I would recommend to just use all of the shades that I'm going to use here, and you can leave it like that and the model already looks pretty cool. So I'm using Reikland Fleshshade for the gold and the skin. Oh, also the bone color. Next, I'm using Athonian Camoshade for all of the greens. So it's pretty much all the model, just avoiding the metallics and the face and the skin, and that's it. And the last wash is going to be Nuln oil, and this color I'm going to use it on the silver and the hair. Well, also on the darker green, sorry about that. The darker green, the Caliban green, is going to be shaded with Nuln oil instead of the other green. Once the shades are dry, I'm going to start highlighting the flesh with Cadian Fleshtone. I'm using a detail brush to paint on the face area because it's very hard to reach, and I'm not painting the eyes and that stuff because we're going for tabletop standard. Well, it's not really tabletop, it's above tabletop because we're using a bunch of highlights, but I don't usually paint the eyes, so that's it. Next, I'm going to use Kislev flesh. With this color, I'm going to highlight the parts that are most exposed to light from the face and the skin. Just paint the upper parts, the tip of the nose and the chin, and that's it. Then I'm going to use Straken green again to clean up the lighter green tone on the cape and the pants. Just leave the deepest shadows on the shaded color and clean up the rest with this color. Next, Ogryn Camo is going to be the highlight for the cape. This color is going to be applied on the most raised areas on the cape, the most exposed to the front where light catches on the folds. You can paint it with this color. Next, Loren Forest is going to be used again on the second tone of green to clean up the clothes as well. The same step as the previous one, just leave the deepest recesses on the base color that is shaded with the wash and just clean up the other areas that are exposed to light and, well, the rest of the areas of the green. Next, to highlight this part, I'm going to do an edge highlight with Elysian green. This color is going to be thinned down with drying retarder. That helps a lot with keeping the tip of your detail brush wet, and it's very useful for edge highlighting. When edge highlighting, make sure you don't leave the paint too much time on the tip of your brush. Clean it up every minute or two to prevent drying paint on the brush, because that will really damage the brush, so try to avoid that. Next, I'm going to dry brush Ushafti bone on the bone parts of the shield. Very lightly try to just catch the raised edges of the bone parts on the shield. Next, Caliban green is going to be used as a cleanup for the darker green. Try to pick the upper areas and leave the shaded areas on the very recesses to keep the shadows on the cape. The rest is just painting over it and leaving the recesses on the darker color as well. First, with Warpstone glow, I'm going to start edge highlighting the shield and the cape. Because the color is very dark, we're not going to use any green to really highlight it up any other way but edge highlighting. Again, the same tips as the other edge highlight. I'm going to pick only the sharpest areas, and I'm going to just draw a line on the edge of them. When you can, it's a good idea to use the edge of the brush, but it's not always the case, because sometimes it's very difficult to get the brush on the area that you want. Next I'm going to use Moot green, and with this color it's the second edge highlight on the same areas. Just try to pick the brightest spots and or a narrower area over the already highlighted green. Next I'm going to highlight the silver with Runefang steel. Because I wanted the color to be very bright, I just picked the two brightest metallic silvers to paint these areas, and it's just like an overbrush, just painting the upper parts of the silvers to make them pop again. Next I'm going to use Gehena's gold, and this color is going to be used as a highlight for all of the gold areas. As well as the other steps, this is just a cleanup. We're just leaving the deepest recesses on the previous color and the little engravings on the armor. Here I'm using a size 2 Kolinsky brush, and most of my highlights has been using this brush because it holds up very nice tip, and it's very good for detail work, even though it's like a base coat brush. Next I'm going to mix Gehena's gold with Runefang steel, because I wanted to avoid the very yellow tone of the next Auric armor gold, which you can use it if you were going for that look. I tried to just tone down the very yellow appearance of that color and use the Runefang steel to highlight the gold areas again, just toning it down just to a little kind of more brass color than gold, and that's it. Next I'm going to use Skrag brown as the first highlight for the hair. This is going to be applied on most of the area, just leaving the deepest recesses again as the other steps. Nothing very different here. I'm using a detail brush to pick the hair strands individually and having more control on the highlighting, although you can use dry brush if you want, but nah, I'm not going to use that. Here I'm using Deathclaw brown to finish up the highlight on the hair, just picking the brightest spots, the places where when it curves and picks up more light from above, and just highlight those parts. Next, the gemstones. I'm going to use Mephiston red on about 80%, just leaving a little dark on the very top of the gemstones. Next, Wild Rider red is going to be used in about the half lower part of the gemstones. As you can see, I'm trying to do a little transition of red to orange with Fire Dragon Bright, the final highlight on the very bottom on the gemstone. This is going to create a little illusion of like a shine, like a gemstone. And with White Scar, I'm going to just put a little dot on the very top of each and every of the gemstones to simulate a reflection, and that's a pretty good effect when painting gemstones, actually. So here's the finished model. I hope you liked this tutorial. I really like this model a lot. I very especially enjoyed painting this model. It was very fun, a lot of colors, and it was a lot of details, and I actually was just thinking about collecting Wood Elves, but I don't know anything about fantasy and I don't know where to start. So if you want to help me out, just leave me a comment. What should I buy for starting a Wood Elf army? Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and informative, and if you like it, like, comment and subscribe. Share this video with your friends, and I hope to see you on the next video.